Live on the book.
We are live on the book. It must
Look at
be
that.
Saturday.
It's Saturday night.
Did it feel like Saturday to you today?
Honestly, it feels like a very Thursday-y Saturday.
Yeah, like I am not feeling Saturday all day today. I did not feel very Saturday. What would be that word? Saturday-y. Saturday-y?
Saturday-y.
Saturday-y. I really didn't, I just didn't feel it. And not that it's a bad thing, but I just wasn't 100% feeling it. And I don't know what it was about. Like I was out and about today, so that might have been was it. Maybe I was out and about and went to a celebration today. Someone's 8 years in recovery, and that was a great way to start the day.
Wow, that's
And
amazing. 8 years, good for them.
totally good for them, and it was just amazing and just wonderful to see people I haven't seen in a while either. So that was a lovely treat, and just a reminder. And even last night, I went to a meeting last night, like my home group, and we have this thing that our buddy Steve partner created, these little popsicle sticks. So they pass the popsicle sticks around and they all have little topics on them, right? So and I got what are you grateful for right now? And I'll tell you what, and I'll just be honest, what I shared last night is that I was so grateful that I'm alive. like because when you think about my life path to here, there was I remember turning 20 and being mind blown that I was 20 years old, because I never was supposed to live to 20 in my mind, right? There was just never, that was never even a likelihood. And then turning 30, I'm like, and not only was I mind blown, but I was probably disappointed, because at that point I was in the heart of my addiction, right? And it was not a good era of time in my brain or in my heart or in my spirit, and certainly in the way I was walking in the world. But then I look at my 40th birthday, and by then I had been clean a number of years, and how I was still, and it still seemed amazing to me that I was alive, because again, so many spaces and places, so many situations I put myself in, so many difficulties with my mental health and the mental illnesses that I live with. I just couldn't even understand. But at least at 40, I was grateful, ish. And then now in my life, what am I grateful for? I'm so grateful that I'm alive today. Just absolutely. And the people that surround me and the people that are in my circle, like yourself on Saturday nights, every Saturday, I think about that often. I get to hang out with you every Saturday night, and how absolutely amazing is that? For me, yeah.
Do you find it comes with the more experiences you have, or is it just the longer you are alive?
I think just the longer that I'm alive, because again, never presumed that I would be this age, right? Never presumed I'd have the privilege to be a grandparent, never privileged enough to see shifts in the world that I've seen in individuals. And I'm moving into second generation, right? Seeing two generations change and grow up. And so it is
that's a trip, because for such a long, significant part of your life, you couldn't even imagine taking the breaths you're taking now. That's crazy.
Exactly. I just assumed I wouldn't be, right? It was an assumption that there was no way I would be able to make it this far.
Yeah, that's funny. I was in as everybody knows, I was in Vancouver last weekend, and I got to meet up with an old friend, and we were having a discussion like that, just how we were talking about old friends, and who've passed on due to mental illness, and just how much of a trip it is looking back, and you rewind back to those years, and you look up to these people and their age and their seniority, and you fast forward to now, and you're looking back and you're like, oh, they're just babies. And it's yeah. And then having that discussion too of all these doubts that you've had, and never seeing past a certain number, and how that's just so trippy, and yeah, it's weird, because you do have, we're all very human, and we all have everybody has those ups and downs, right?
Totally.
Everybody, no matter how privileged or how how much stuff you have, how much love, whatever. Like everybody is gonna take what they have for granted at some point. It's just human nature. But like having that all that stuff on the flip side is it's such a like quick knee-jerk reaction back to reality. Like I don't know, it's just a trip. And it's so like not even in a bad way, like just like a beautiful like reminiscing, like wow, we're so lucky. Like
Well, yeah. And the trick is to know that, is to remind myself of that gratitude in the hard times, right? Because again, we're humans and we have hard times, like it's life. And so and that's my message to anyone really as a rule, is that if you're going through a hard time, like I am literally living proof, as there are, and I'm not unique or special, there's hundreds of thousands of people like myself, right? That the path does shift, and it will shift, and it won't shift in a timely manner that you want it to, like now, but it will. And if we put work into ourselves and into our building our circle of supports and care, and I see Bernard Nelson, my dear friend Bernard, our buddy Bernard is there saying,
shout out Bernard.
oh, Corey says hello, and Jacob Jackson says hello from Heslin, Yukon.
Oh, deadly.
Well, you know what's super deadly? So Jacob Jackson, I would love to know how you found out about the show tonight. I would love to be curious about that. If you're still watching, Jacob, let us know, how did you hear about the show tonight?
That's awesome.
But at the end of the day, the reality is that my life now, I'm grateful that I'm here, because my other thing I'm grateful for is all the relationships we have. Like the blessing is beyond amazing. And so I want to, if you'll indulge me, now she might be mad. We'll see how this
WQ, what's up?
Let's see how this plays out. Let's just see. So we're gonna call. Oh no, I don't want to call. I want to do this. I want to go like this.
FaceTime. You're gonna FaceTime bestie.
Yeah. My dear friend, our dear friend Shannon Monk. It's her birthday.
Oh, no way, today.
So we're gonna try to see. We'll see if she answers, and if she answers, if she will be. But get ready to sing. If I start to sing, join me. But it is her birthday,
SpongeBob.
So she might not be there. Joey Q is there. Joey Q, hello, Joey Q. Uh-oh, no answer. Okay, so we're gonna make a little video then. So are you ready?
Okay.
And Shannon Monk, for those who don't know, is just one of the most brilliant women I know. She lives in Nova Scotia. She is doing fundamental work in helping lift up Indigenous artists throughout Nova Scotia, and has been an educator for decades. Yeah. Parent, a grandparent, a partner, a business.
There's so much more stuff outside of that.
Yeah, like she is just one of our very favorite humans. And so
super amazing human.
Let's see how we can do this here. Let's go like this. Let's see. Oh, where is Brennan? Oh
no, I'm trying to see it.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Okay, can you see us?
All right, I can see it. So here we go. And
comment happy birthday.
And in the comments,
Shannon,
people can put happy birthday, Shannon, in the comments if you want. And we'll get a snapshot as well. So here we go.
Okay. I wish I had a cake.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Shannon. Happy birthday to you.
And there is Brennan saying happy birthday to you, Shannon.
Happy birthday, Shannon.
And hope you've had a great day. Hope you have. Tessa says happy birthday. I don't know if you can see that or not. There you go. Tessa saying happy birthday. We hope you've had a great day, my love, and we will see you very soon. Bamapi. There we go. We're going to send that to Shannon. And yeah, so very few opinions today, but mostly just a birthday song.
A lot of gratitude.
Well, yeah, she's done so much for us, and I'm so grateful to her, not just work and life and love, and I'm just my life is better because of Shannon. And Bernard says happy birthday as well. I think Bernard could agree Shannon is the bomb. And
the part about that too is like my life is better even if I didn't know her, like just by her being in the world. Like she does so much good work.
Exactly. Very well put. Very well put.
Mhm.
So, and again, let's just see, Jacob Jackson, if you're still there, I'd love to know how you heard about the show. I'd be very curious. Only because Jacob Jackson is from Teslin, Yukon, and tomorrow my uncle Mike arrives here from the Yukon, from Teslin, Yukon.
Oh, what? That's
And
sick.
he's going to come and stay here, which is very exciting because when I was a kid, I went up and stayed with him. And yeah, so I can't wait to give him a bedtime.
That is cool.
Oh, like remember back? Now you've got a bedtime.
Wow. How the tables have turned.
Now the tables have turned.
It'll feel so great.
Quick question: 0 to
Yep.
10. How was your week? 0 to 10.
It was like mostly just in bed, get out of bed, like do my errands, get back in bed. I was just like drained all week. I started my week was Sunday night with a red eye. Monday morning I got to Halifax, and then the flight was just horrible. Yeah, it was just not a great flight. And so I didn't get any sleep, and then got home. I like tried to sleep all day, woke up, did my stuff, try to sleep again. Just kept doing that all week. And now I'm just like drained still.
Well,
Yeah.
you can't starting the week on a Monday with a red eye in like a midnight. And red eyes for folks is a flight, please, like in the middle of the night. You fly all night. It's literally the worst. And if you're a traveler, it's the worst. Like it is. And if you're a frequent traveler, it doesn't matter. As you know, I fly some years, hundreds of flights a year. And if I ever have to take a red eye, and I want to put in context, this is in Canada, the red eyes.
Yeah.
I don't mind the red eyes when I go overseas.
No, it's
because
very, very different.
it is very different. The planes are bigger. As like it's just different.
That leg space, that leg room makes a world's difference.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But on like on a Canadian flight from one side of the country to the other overnight, no fun.
Yeah, like unless you're getting like a preferred seating or like first class.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't let Brennan make eye contact with me when he's walking down the aisle past me. Like no eye contact. One day I'll tell you the story of who's Charlie Sheen's ex-wife.
Does he have multiple?
I don't know the answer to that question, but the famous one, the famous actress. Anyways, one day I'll tell you the story of when I sat next to her on a flight.
That's sick.
And it was just how surreal the whole thing was. But nonetheless,
cool.
We have a few guests that are already waiting.
Yes.
Oh, this was it. Can you keep a secret?
Yeah.
You sure?
I don't know if they can, but I can.
Okay, well, I'm sure no one here is going to tell anyone, but so here's the secret again.
Did you do that on purpose?
Do what?
Mute yourself?
I didn't mute myself. Did you not hear it?
No way.
Did anyone? Okay, let's see if anyone at home heard it. And if anyone at home heard it, type it in the chat for Brennan, because clearly he didn't hear it. But we have two guests. I want to tell you the first time we met one of these guests, the first time I met her, I was 1999. How old were you in 1999, young man?
I was 3 years old.
There you go. Just putting that in context. And so 1999 we met, and I knew immediately that I would be seeing the amazing work she was going to do from then on. And she'd already done a whack of amazing work. We are so lucky to have our friends here today from Taking It Global. And Taking It Global is also known as TIG. It's a charity, it's an NGO, a nonprofit. They work around the world promoting awareness and engagement around young people with young people. They have a series of other programs that they've done over the years. One of them is called Connected North. We're going to learn about that today around engaging and enhancing the education outcomes in remote Indigenous communities. And particularly, we're also going to talk about this Future Pathways, and we'll share a little bit with them. So we have Tessa, who is one of the coordinators at Connected North, and we have our my very longtime friend, Jennifer, who's going to join us. We're going to welcome them into the room tonight. And you're in for a special treat because there are certainly folks in this world who have great ideas. I'm one of them. I have a bazillion great ideas, They're all on my wall behind this screen, and they're in a folder called Dream Projects. They very rarely do they happen. My friend Jennifer here. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Tessa. And
Hi.
so Jennifer is in got the blue background, just so folks know at home. And Jennifer is one of those folks that has that Dream Projects folder, but in fact makes them come to life. I should actually just send you my dream folder and you can take it from there, Jennifer. And Tessa, and so Jennifer, we're going to quickly introduce you in a second, but where are you tonight, Jennifer?
So I'm in Toronto, and I'm actually in a car because my son has a hockey game.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Treaty 13, also traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee here on Wendat, and a gathering place of many nations. Thank you.
And a bunch of hockey players.
And a bunch of hockey players.
Well, I would never have known you're in a car, so you've pulled that off beautifully.
Yeah, the backdrop worked.
Yeah, and Tessa, where are you tonight?
I'm joining from Salt Spring Island, so it's a little Gulf island off of Vancouver Island. So it's the unceded territories of the Say Out, the Malahat, the Saycum, and the Cowichan, and the Tawasin communities. So
And is that where you live all the time?
Yes, I live here, and then my family's in Squamish. So I
That's awesome.
You're like the dream world.
Yes.
You are not in a car outside of a hockey rink.
No, I am in my bedroom.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Yes, and it's 4 o'clock here, so daylight.
oh
yeah,
well,
that's
you know what's fun, and Jennifer, maybe where you are too, it's still a little daylighty out. It's like not dark
daylight,
yet.
like I see blue sky.
Pitch black
Yeah,
here.
like I can, yeah, well, but you're an hour. I'm going to both meet my very dear friend Brennan Gugu. And so this is Brennan. This is Jennifer.
Hello, guys. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you guys.
Ironically, Jennifer has met your father, Brennan.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Yes. So Jennifer, if you remember, I introduced you to Chris Gugu from the Unuig our Development Corporation.
Yes.
This is Brennan, his oldest child. And
Amazing.
yes. And so the way the world works is we met Brennan in 2017. We brought 45 Indigenous young people from 15 to 21 years old. And not even we brought them, they did it. They, with our staff, they sailed from Halifax to France on a tall ship. So like one of those ones that looks like a big pirate ship. And wanted to really show Europe what it was like when someone came onto your land en masse in a big boat. And so Brennan was one of the young people who was selected for that project. And so he was one of the 45 warriors who took part in a sail training program and cultural and identity leadership development program. And we have been I fell in love with him immediately, absolutely. And he came to work with us, I think the next year. We did that speaking tour in Nova Scotia together first.
Yeah.
And then I fell in love with him on that trip. And I think within 6 months, he was living in Kingston and working with us.
Yeah, it wasn't long after that.
So yeah, so that's Brennan. And then plus some. You should also know that Brennan has a large collection of collectibles. I would suggest not calling them dolls in the background because he gets very bothered by that. They are collectibles.
Yeah.
They're not toys. They're not dolls.
No, my goddaughter has dolls. Those are upstairs.
Those are collectibles.
Yeah.
You have some great art in your space there, Pytor.
Thank you, because I'm grown up.
I have art. It's in the rest of the apartment.
He does. Brendan has beautiful art as well. I'm just teasing Brendan. Yes, lots of gifts from various travels.
Oh, speaking of art, sorry to veer off really quickly. You know who we've me and my roommate have been picking up prints from recently is our friend Hot Dog Water Art, Sister Kennedy.
Oh, Sister Kennedy.
Yeah.
Oh,
so he has like
know
t-shirts
Sister?
and stuff now.
And
he
what
has
did
like a website and everything.
And what did you call him? Hot Dog what?
He switched his art name to Hot Dog Water Art.
You want to Google this. If you don't know him, he was doing something very cool in Ontario. We met Sista when he was like 15 maybe.
Yeah, he looked like he was 30 at the time.
He looked like he was 30.
Yeah.
Like I honestly walked up to him.
Not even in a
was
bad
like-
way either.
I went up to him because I'm like, who is the weird man with all the kids? and the Weird Man was 15.
Yeah.
And the most talented, stunning artist. And he's done some
Yeah.
really cool stuff in Southern Ontario. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's very
Unreal stuff. Yeah, check his stuff out, guys. If
yes. Maybe someone will put that in the chat for us, the hot dog, whatever that might be. So now we're done with our little sort of thing. Welcome and thank you for coming to walk with us today. When Jennifer and I saw each other, Tessa, just so you know, in Winnipeg at the Indspire National Gathering, I think they're always missing the word on education. I don't know about you, but I really think that their branding is off on that. Like, I'm just, if you're anyone from Inspire is watching, like Inspire National Gathering, like you really need to know what it's got, what you're got. Am I not right? Am I?
It's got to be the people in the know, they know.
Yeah, but maybe that's it. You only want those people there. I don't know, but anyways, we were there, and Taking Global had a booth, as did Ulameg, and but taking and we also met then as well a number of other Ulameg staff as well, I think, and they had that great workshop, right? With
it's from the Education Center.
the Education Center, and then the science group, and the space group, and the astronaut fellow, right? And it was delightful, but
Super amazing team over there.
and now I'm embarrassed because all week I've been waiting to talk to you about the Fireside Chats, and it's downstairs, the copy. But
Oh,
grab it.
I will go grab it. We'll do it on the video because you know it's very awkward when you stand on Zoom.
Yeah, especially if you're the host.
Right. Well, it's not a good look. Like I wear like this is like the
you don't
best
get
body
exposed.
height,
You're like wearing.
You don't go lower than
totally.
You're like
3
wearing
years
short
of this-
shorts.
3 years of this, I've learned not to stand on Zoom and like never show below the medallion.
Below the medallion.
Never show below the medallion.
Funny.
So anyway, so we got to catch up a lot. So for folks, just if we can start, Jennifer, if you don't mind,
Sure.
let's just tell people how we met.
Okay.
I like that story.
You should start this.
Tessa, do you know the story, Tessa?
No, I didn't tell her.
All
No,
right, you start and I'll embellish it.
You want me to start? Well, it was 1999. That was the year I started Taking It Global. I was 19.
Damn.
And Brennan was 3. I actually love that right now because the participants of our programs are, and it just really speaks to the babies of today or the youth of tomorrow. So it's really awesome also to be a mom. Currently, my son is 10, but going back to 1999, I was speaking on a panel because I was sharing about a website that I had the opportunity to work on as a teenager, and it was about women in history that were missing from the textbooks, and I was on a mission to figure out what else was missing from the textbooks. And yeah, it was a really great conference that also involved people sharing their dreams. And Pytor, I'll share something that relates to what you were talking about before, you know, turning dreams into action. We had to do a time capsule. And so I made all these commitments of what I was going to do. And I did it, and I put it in a little time capsule. And I'm actually going to do that activity with a group that we're going to be working with in April. But it was a very powerful conference. And it was also about envisioning the future. And so I think you mentioned also earlier about circles of support. And I feel like that was definitely a place of creating circles of support. And it was very uplifting, not only for myself, but for many of the youth participants involved. And Pytor, I kind of want to see how you take it from there. I was blown away by your ideas. I saw that you were immediately accelerating or supporting or amplifying the voices of others. And yeah, it was just a great time to connect with people and realize that we have to take action on our hopes and visions for the future, because if we don't, then we don't know if anyone else will. So we have to kind of do that together and have the long view also.
Well, and that event was really interesting because so I had been speaking at a psychiatric conference in Edmonton that day, earlier in the day, and then I was driven from there to Banff. And I didn't quite connect that the event was focused on child poverty. And I had recently done like this documentary. And so one of the takeaways from the documentary was I had a really nice like Hugo Boss suit. I should point out that I think I was making like $600 a month in my life, in my real life. So I was not like, but I had this beautiful suit. And so Dan and I go to this conference to speak at the conference and I only had one outfit too, right? Like I in my first like 3 or 4 years of like really sort of national work, I only had 2 or 3 outfits I ever wore at anything. Like if there was a 4-day event, I was out of luck. Like, so I show up in Banff at this child poverty conference where they're talking at the real sort of core challenges of poverty. And I'm the keynote speaker wearing this like super fancy suit. And it just was such an awkward kind of like, because it's also not my story necessarily, like a Hugo Boss suit. Maybe it is today, but I certainly wasn't when I was like 20, and or how old I was. Wouldn't that have been 23? And so I met Jennifer, and at the time you had also, so you had started another organization before Taking It Global.
It was a project. It wasn't incorporated, but yes, you're right.
And that was Girls.
Yeah, it was Girls Are It. And
Girls Are It.
Cool Girls. I was a bunch of things all about empowering young girls. Thank you.
And here's the thing. So I'm feeling like you're a bit shy. So I just want to just be clear is that when I met you there, so Taking It Global, I don't think I connected it there at the moment, right? But what I connected was, here's this young woman who has already started and led these youth movements in Toronto and lifting up space for other girls and women and herself. And you just got it. Like, and part of it was that crowd was a mix of folks who with real core lived experience in poverty, and young people who hadn't had the opportunities to be identified as leaders yet. They still might have been or could have been or were, and then that group of young people who were identified leaders. And a lot of those young people who were identified as leaders in that space could not connect. And I watched it happen over the week. I was only going to speak. And I ended up staying the entire week because it was incredible to watch these young people. And what I thoroughly enjoyed about meeting you at that time was, whereas a lot of those like identified leaders, they were together, right? They were eating dinner at this table, or they were doing this. I just remember it's round tables and stuff. Like, it's a long time ago. And in fairness, I did a lot of drugs later in my 20s. So like, it's all just a hazy period. But what I remember about seeing you there was that you were with the other young people. Those young people who had different lived experiences than you. And you were one of the few from this pool that were in that space. And you weren't there as a helper. You weren't there as a fixer. You weren't there as a like drive-by, look at this hard life. You were just there. You were just another young person. You were comfortable enough with who you were to be able to be in that space with them, which allowed them to be able to pick up on the skills you had, and that you shared them naturally. Like, you weren't leading a workshop, you were just being. And I remember saying to Stony at that time, our friend Stony, and I remember saying to her, I was watching you do that, and I'm like, she's gonna, and I was like, she's gonna change the world. Like, watch, like, I said, look at what she's doing. Like, she's just being. And that is the greatest compliment I can offer people as a rule in that age and space. You were just being. And lots of those other young leaders, I know some of them still as well, and they're good humans. But then or now, they could not just be. So I knew that was why I knew we'd be friends for a long time, and why you would go on to do more phenomenal things. And you have. Because Taking It Global, I think it's fair to say, is kind of phenomenal.
Thank you.
Like, so that's how we met. And much like so many people, and oh, sorry, Charlie Sheen was married to Denise Richards. I will tell you the Denise Richards story later. So you start Taking Global organization, you and Michael, and we can come back a little bit and chat about what that is in a little bit, because I do want to get to Tessa for a second here. But one of the programs that comes out of it is something called Connected North. And just maybe if you can share, before we move to Tessa, just a snapshot about what was the vision for Connected North when it started, those conversations began. I'm going to share with folks here. This is the Connected North webpage, and you make sure you see right there, you can click that donate button. Anyone can click.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a mouse, you can just click that little button right there. So
I
tell us
should-
a bit about Connected North.
I should give a shout out. That conference was called Students Commission, and Sharif does good work currently as executive director. So
Oh,
just
without a
shout out
doubt.
to the Students Commission. It's fun to be an alumni of a program that's still thriving. Yeah, Connected North. And it's also funny because I'm a founder of Taking It Global and a founder of many things. I'm not the founder of Connected North. The former head of ITK, our current Governor General, Mary Simon, she was the one who actually initiated the idea.
Really?
Yeah, years ago. It was 10 years ago. We're in our 10-year anniversary of the program, actually.
Wow.
And so she was challenging Cisco. So they're a technology company. Like, how can you improve access to educational opportunities for students in Nunavut was the starting place. And also addressing suicide rates as well, being 10 times higher for Inuit youth. So the simplicity of the idea is that through live telepresence, video conferencing in the classroom, students would be able to be connected with people to learn about what they wanted to learn about. And so it started just with one school, Exarny Middle School, and Taking It Global had about a decade of education and technology. I had traveled to many different places, worked with many classrooms. Our organization won the Tech Museum Award and the United Nations it's like an international intercultural innovation award in 2013. And so Connected North in 2015 came to our organization to help grow it. And so what it does and what we've helped it to do is to deliver live, pretty much 45-minute virtual field trips for students. Started primarily for Inuit students and then expanded to include many First Nations communities and Métis communities as well. So now reaching 150 schools. And this school year alone, there's been over 3,000 live sessions since August, just this school year alone.
Sorry, 3,000
Yes.
live experiences.
Yes, I know. So I've helped to grow the program with an incredible team of people. I should say I'm not Indigenous myself. My ancestors on both sides, my lineage is Italian. So that's where my bloodline comes from. And yeah, just I appreciate your observations earlier, Pytor, just about seeing myself in terms of being and just absorbing like the learning around me. And I feel that a lot of why I was asked was also because I had been invited to Akfid Nunavut in October of 2015. And when I came back, I had actually attended an event and I heard a speech about Connected North by the Honorable Mary Simon. And at the end of the speech, I went up to the head table, introduced myself to her, and I said, if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know.
And this, you have just now met the full version of Jennifer. That is the, so if you're watching this at home, if you want to know how you change the world, that is how you do it. Something intrigues you, something interests you, you get up at the end, you cross the room, you go to the head table, you put your hand out and you offer help. I'm guessing, I'm just betting $1 that has been the building of Taking It Global from start to today.
Yeah, you know what? That's such the best advice for anyone listening. Sometimes people do ask, you hear big stats or you hear big accomplishments, and that's not the motive, right? Like the motive coming from a place where you know what you have to offer and you know what you don't have, you know what you need. And the more that you can identify also what you need, because honestly, some days I'm very daunted. I'm like, I don't know, like I need this or that. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I can write that down. Like, what do we need? Like, I don't have this knowledge. I don't have this expertise. So how do we find people? And Tessa fits into that story so beautifully. One of the many brilliant members of our team, one of our newest members of the team, actually, she just joined. Was it December, Tessa? Feels like you've been with us way longer.
Oh, you're brand new, Tessa.
November 30th.
Well, there you go. Since last year.
Yeah.
So Tessa, I know I read a biography of you. I had a biography of you, but not everyone got to read it, and it's really just tiny. So why don't you tell us a bit? So you're on Salt Spring Island currently.
Yes, I'm on Salt Spring. I just moved here September, so new to Salt Spring too. And then I've always lived in Squamish Valley. So Squamish is pretty big, so it takes up North Vancouver and then all the way up to the valley. So before Whistler. So I've always lived there with my family. And then I'm in the NITEP program at UBC. So the Indigenous Teacher Education program there. So I'm coming up to my final year there. And then it's the world's longest undergrad degree. It's like been like 8 years, but I've been slowly pushing through it.
Well, those are, if I'm not, that's really like the 10-year like native plan. Like it's like everyone I know, like it's the 10-year plan. Like you start, like, it's actually, you're actually 2 years ahead of track, just for the record, bragger.
Yeah, actually, maybe I'll delay another year. We'll see.
So you're gonna be that's awesome. So you're gonna be a teacher.
Yes.
Somewhere or other. That's amazing. I think there is our friend Mello is watching, and she
Shout out to my mom.
Yeah, it's his mom. So yes, but this is a whole family affair we have here.
Okay. Also, we totally connect with schools in Teslin in Yukon too. I wanted to say that before.
Yeah, is that now?
Oh wow.
And I wonder if that is, did Jacob Jackson learn about it from that? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Oh, he did.
maybe. Well, I'm making up now.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So nonetheless, educator.
Yeah.
I
My mom is in Mi'kmaq education back home. Oh my god, what is mom? Comment your new job title. She just started a new job this week. On Monday, she started I think she's working in Halifax now. Yeah.
Congrats, Mom.
Yeah.
And it's like really crazy at UBC. It's where everyone thinks like the Indigenous teacher education program is very new, but we're coming up to our 50th anniversary.
50th.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Queens just changed the name of theirs. So they had ATEP, right? So Aboriginal Teacher Education Program. So they just changed the name, like I think in the last 6 months or a year, to Indigenous, which is interesting. But we take ATEP students every year, so who do apply here with us, and we've had some cool projects by them. Like we did one where we had a music major, like that was her thing. And what did she play? Not an oboe, maybe an oboe or a oboe.
That's super cool. I don't know.
Came down a track, and she engaged Indigenous artists to add to the track. So it's like bass of an oboe, and then like drums and singing, and it was awesome.
Was that how Joey Osamas worked with us when I was working in Kingston?
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a super awesome program.
So, yeah, she's the director of partnerships and community relationships for Mi'kmaq Services Branch, DEECD.
Shame.
Brennan, what is DEECD?
No big deal. Deadly, extremely crazy deadly. Yeah, I don't know.
There you go.
Department of Education and Early Childhood Development, Nova Scotia.
There you go. Oh, just for the record, his mom typed that below.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Awesome. Congratulations, Mello. That's great news.
Yes,
And
big
so
ups, Mom.
congratulations to you as well, Tessa, because I think the world, I've long been just saying we need to be building spaces and creating spaces and the supports so young people can fill the careers we need. Educators, water workers, doctors, nurse practitioners, therapists, police officers, lawyers, accountants, and project managers. So I'm glad you're at the top of the list.
Me too.
World
And
famous.
what is your vision when you graduate?
Oh, I get so overwhelmed. I think there's so especially in education, there's so many different paths to take. And I love Connected North so much. And there's quite a few different programs in Squamish, that's Indigenous focused. I have no idea where I'll be.
That's okay.
That's a good thing too. You're super open to.
Where I'll be next month, so it's all good.
Yeah.
And so with Connected North, tell us the story. I would love to hear this story. How did you end up working for Connected North? What was the path?
Yeah. So I was working at a small business in Squamish before called Squalwyn Botanicals, and it's a skincare business. And it's my former boss is named Lee Joseph, and she was finishing her PhD in ethnobotany. So within like the skincare business, we were able to bring like a lot of education towards it. And I really loved it. And then I was like, okay, September, I'm finishing my university degree. And I moved to Vancouver and I was like, nope, I cannot be in Vancouver. This is not like where I see myself right now. And so me and my partner were like looking at different places, and we moved to Salt Spring. And then I was looking, then I had like the highest expectation of bosses ever. I was like, my boss is amazing. I cannot work for anyone else. And then I found TakingITGlobal. I found Jennifer.
How did you find TakingITGlobal?
Indeed. I
Really?
found, yes. Yeah, it was through Indeed, and I was looking at different education positions that were remote because I moved to Salt Spring, and then I was like, I really need to be close to my family still. And so I needed the flexibility, and I found TakingITGlobal, and yeah, it was like, I felt so excited from seeing it online, and then like looking at the program and going through some interviews, and yeah, and I just ended up, it was like a month worth of interviews. And
Wow.
then yeah, they're selective. And
Well,
we have the
that's
best team.
that's good for you. It points out that you're awesome.
Yeah, we have the best team ever. And yeah, I started November 30th, and it was kind of like it was a great transition because December was a bit slower. So I got to meet a lot of people and have a lot of support on onboarding. And yeah, I found it through there.
And what's your role then?
Indeed.
What's your role with Connected North?
I'm a host. So with the Connected North program, there we have quite a few leads, and then I host sessions. So I get to introduce the provider to the classroom and close the sessions at the end. So after the presenter speaks, then I get to close it. And then yeah, I work with Fireside Chats, which I think we'll talk about. And I get to work on Your Voice's Power too. Yeah.
Oh,
That's cool. That's how I started with Peter. I was
Yeah.
a host. Yeah, the first event we worked on, I was a host.
Yeah.
And he's got the sticker, look right there, because he
Oh,
went
yeah.
to your Voices Power workshop.
Okay.
Conference.
Oh,
Let
what?
me think. Check it out. Okay, I will not stand up anymore, but I just had Your Voice's Power hoodie on because we just had a hackathon in Whitehorse today.
Oh, wow. Are you in? So, but you were not in Whitehorse.
No, but we there's a few of us who were able to present via Zoom. So
Awesome.
we did that today, and then we have another one Tuesday.
Fantastic. Well, I have a little life hack for you. The beauty of those stickers is you can put them right under your thing without actually putting it on your phone. Because I might one day find another sticker, like one day I might like put that sticker on there, right? So, but this has been there since that was November, right? October.
Wow, we lasted a while there.
Well, because it's awesome. It's great. And we put them in all the ones we took, all those last ones. Remember we took all your scraps?
Yeah.
Oboes, we were just like, but yeah, so we've given them out to young people too, like through and that we've met since then. So yeah, Your Voice's Power. It's a beautiful logo. It's a great sticker.
Yes. And shout out to Dakota Bear, who was there live as well today in Whitehorse. So he flew in and he's one of the artists in the app as well. And I know, Peter, you have a long list of people that you want us to bring on board. So we
Yes.
can work on that in the next few months.
Cool beans.
That can help us out.
So your role as host, you get to meet some pretty cool folks, I imagine, then Tessa?
Yes, I get to meet the coolest people.
Is there someone that sort of was like, you were like, oh my God, I can't believe I just got to meet them and introduce them and then listen to them?
Like every host ever, or every presenter ever. Okay, I cannot, like this week, I walk away from every session, I'm like giddy at the end because the presenters are really great, and we have ongoing sessions too. So like a presenter that will go to a classroom every week, and like seeing those relationships, I get giddy with them. And like all the presenters speak to the students like with their names. It's really cool. But that was not your question at all.
So awesome.
It sounds familiar because every Saturday night I get a text. Within seconds of shutting this down, I run to pee because I'm a little older, and I sit here for 2 hours and I drink big coffee, just diet soda, And by the time I'm peeing, I get a text that says every Saturday, that was the best show ever. So we've got 3 years of shows now almost, where every one, according to Brennan, is better than the last one. And so that sounds very familiar. Like I don't think I could ask Brennan, what was your favorite show? Because I would get
Yeah.
a clear answer.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's funny. It really just makes me think of like just working with three things in general. It's just like every time I've worked with you, like on a project, it's been the consistent theme.
It's the best one. That's the best thing we've done.
Yeah.
So back to you and on the hot spot. Tessa.
back to, okay, who did we have this week? I'm trying to think. I'm like,
Best one ever.
Yeah.
As Tessa thinks who she wants to mention, I can highlight that we have over 300 content providers.
Wow.
So from galleries, museums, science centers, over 100 are First Nations, Inuit, and Métis professionals, and we're growing. So if you're watching, and even Pytor and Brennan yourselves, we'd love to have you if you ever want to deliver a session sometime. But yeah, like, I don't know, Tessa, what was your favorite session this week? That was their question.
That's not one that like spoke to you, right? One that you kind of were like, ooh, because we've had a lot of guests on the show now. We've had 150 shows or so, right? Give it to more.
Sheesh, yeah.
160 shows, 160 shows, something like that.
Well, like 200 guests.
We've had hundreds of guests, and it's kind of hard. So you can't say who is your favorite, but you have the ability to sort of go like, and it is often the recent one. That's not familiar. Like
The Marsh family was pretty awesome.
we had the Marsh family on here.
I was watching that actually like yesterday.
From the UK, like that band, the family that sings on YouTube, and
Yeah.
I wanted to hang out with them. I'm going to England this summer. I'm like, I must meet them. Like, I don't know where
That
Kevin
would be so cool.
is. I want to be their friends. Like, so yeah. So Tessa is someone who like.
Oh,
Yeah.
I muted myself. We have one provider named Priscilla, and she carves with the students, and I get to sit in on like 2 sessions with her a day because she is so popular. And every time she's like, every session she's just as stoked to see all the students like make the same carvings, and I really enjoy seeing her.
You know Priscilla's last, like, can you share Priscilla's last name or Jennifer, or
Yeah.
put it in the chat so someone could Google them and learn more about her.
Yeah, I think, right, we can like share Priscilla's last name. Okay.
And because she's a carver, I assume.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I will put her in the chat. Yeah.
Perfect. We know that I know that Taking It Global does amazing things. I want to tell you, just Brennan, and maybe Tessa, you probably know this, but am I right, Jennifer, in suggesting that Taking It Global, because you and Michael created this free Facebook?
Yeah, that's right.
And it really was. It really was. When you go back,
That's work.
5 pages of Taking It Global's like original kind of like community on the internet, which was in essence like Facebook, where you work, where you go to school, you connect, you can post things, you like, not for nothing, but you deserve to be.
So that lengthy interview process, like that has kind of been a consistent theme throughout Taking It Global's history, I assume.
Yeah, like with this, when we launched we had the idea in 1999, and it was shortly after that conference where I met Pytor, and I put my commitments down in a time capsule. But we launched our website in 2000, and it was one of the world's first social networks for social change. So we're a charitable organization. Facebook's for profit. They've obviously grown much bigger as a household brand, but I mean, we're using it right now, and thank you, Facebook, for, being a great platform for things like this. But just to say that, yeah, we were also one of the world's first multilingual websites on the internet, because we noticed that a lot of the content, like when the internet was kind of emerging in like 1997, which was when I was 17, where more people were gaining access like more directly. And then that's when we were learning how to create our own content. But you had to be a lot more tech savvy than you would today to be able to share your content. And so we wanted to focus on how our generation of youth and future generations of youth could not just feel like they're consumers of like US commercial content, but we wanted people to feel empowered to create social change on issues that they care about and take their ideas to action. So yeah, our motto is inspire, inform, involve. And I feel like we've ran like hundreds of programs ever since we started over 20 years ago. But yeah, the action guide is something. Even I was an undergrad student, and I ended up trying to convince, and I convinced over time, like every paper to have something to do to benefit like social impact. Like I didn't just want to write an essay for the sake of an essay, but I wanted to learn to have an impact. And I'm still very motivated today to change the education system so that that is something that doesn't just exist for one person to like advocate for themselves. But we actually did prioritize programs like with NTEP, for example, where Tessa, is studying, but also like even other programs, like some of our other staff or graduates or involved with other types of programs. So yeah, thanks. These are, oh dear, there's a secure, there we go, we have a bug. But yeah, we did do different issues that are from around the world. Back in the day, we had leads from different countries. We don't have it as active as we used to. Like we don't have country reps, but at one point we had reps in 100+ countries like around the world. And when other social media platforms grew, by the way, you can tell that the sun set because it's darker. And then every time you see like light on my face, there's cars. That's why I have the backdrop. So I stay like, I don't get distracted. But yeah, it's been interesting, like trying to create one digital space for one global community, and then realizing that wasn't like feasible for us to just also a lot of our members now work for like ministries of youth in different countries around the world. It's so cool. Someone called our office like a few months ago and said, I work for the Prime Minister's office and a Ministry of Youth and in the Philippines as an example. So I'm really interested and curious, like to reconnect also with the people that joined us, even executive directors of a lot of social impact organizations. Some have told me, I got to stop talking. I'm getting so distracted with these lights. But they're people that have been members of Taking It Global since like 2000, early 2000s, that are like in charge of, government departments or maybe running foundations, things like that. So that's pretty surreal to think about. And the power of networks, I feel like there's so much more that we can tap. Like this generation of youth, I want to be really like super supported by like people like me I'm no longer youth. I've stopped identifying as a youth since I was like 25. But I feel like it's important to have that intergenerational partnership.
Awesome. Yes. And Tessa, you're just starting a journey, and you never know. That's the beauty of organizations like Taking Global or UNAWAG or some of these other long-standing organizations that are really multi-generational, as you said, and you don't know where this path will take you. And that's the beautiful thing. Hey, Brennan, what do I love?
You love TikTok.
I love it. And I've said this for almost 3 years now, I can find a TikTok on any topic. And that's what I love about it. And so, and it's hard, it became harder about 6 months ago when Facebook started kicking us off because the copyright stuff on songs, on TikTok songs, like just the audio on the TikTok would get us like our live canceled. Like, so we had to get all creative. But conveniently, I found some today that have no music. And they're about taking it global and Connected North. They're really about Connected North. And there's a few extras just around the North because I have a great affinity for and gratitude for our Inuit relations who have shared so much with us and taught us so much over the years. I too, you had the privilege to go north, as have I, a number of times throughout the territory, throughout Labrador, and in Ottawa as well. We're going to have 2 young women actually on our show in a couple of weeks. They are, and I'm saying this, I'll say it publicly, the best throat singers I've ever heard in my life, and complimenting it the best. They described what they were doing in the best way I've ever heard at the Junos, at the Indspire Awards, at events all through the North. These young women, 18 and 19 years old, they're singing together. They're best friends, and the connection is so real. And their teachings that went with it were the best delivered I've ever seen. And it was so cold that night. Oh my God, it was like negative a bazillion. And so they're going to be on the show. But I say that because we've gotten so many teachings from our friends from the North, our Inuit friends, our Inuit relations. And we're lucky.
Sheila and Rise, by the way, they've done several sessions and they've done like live concerts. So it's so fun to see the students pack in the classroom when they perform.
Who
But
is
yeah,
that? Say it again.
Sheila and Rise.
Oh, okay, yes. Awesome.
There's throat singing, and then they've done some teaching as well as performances, but they're amazing.
Awesome. So here are a couple of videos that just showcase Connected North, and particularly, and I didn't watch the end of the first video. So if it, you know, it's one of those, what do you call it when you open something and you open a, Brennan, what's the
Like
word?
I
unboxing?
was on mute, but a pop-up book?
Unboxing video. Who did
Unboxing.
who got it?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, 10 points for Jennifer. So it's an unboxing video and of a Connected North package. So I didn't watch the end. So if it, I hope
That's cool.
Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous.
Yeah,
Have you seen it, Jen?
No.
like, this is crap. Like,
They're like, smash it.
2 months for this. So we'll all find out together. And when it's playing, I'm going to run downstairs and grab the that Fireside Chats book. But I'll come back in time. Trust me, to watch the end of the. I do think she's quite pleased. It does seem so in the video that I watched so far. So my friends, here is just some shots to help you understand a bit more about Taking Global, Connected North, and a few cool little teachings I thought from our Inuit relations who are on TikTok. And so here we go. Dun, dun, dun. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do this. And we're gonna do this.
Practicing the first guiding principle from Inuit, how you may document, or the guiding principles to Inuit traditional knowledge, which is TakingITGlobal, respecting others, relationships, and caring for people. Thank you. Let's finish a very refreshing Connected North session with grades 5, 6 of Inuksvik School in TakingITGlobal, and it was all in Inuktitut, 100%. We read my book in Inuktitut, we conversed in Inuktitut, we sang songs in Inuktitut, and the kids were so much fun. They were super lively, energetic, hilarious. They had a ton of great things to say. They had awesome questions. And of course, they had to ask the very important questions like, why have a TikTok account? And how old am I?
Okay, so I just received my package. It's from Digital Inclusion Grants Connected North. Thank you, Jacqueline. That's just you've been emailing me about it. Well, obviously I received it. I will send you a confirmation. I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna show you guys what it is. I'm really excited. I've been waiting for a while. So yeah. Oh my God. I'm just gonna wait. Hold on. Well, that hard part was over. It's wild. I did. Never had one of these before. Ever. Just an iPhone, but that's about it. Bubble wrap, my daughter loves this, so she's gonna get that. I mean, I would open it and start bubble wrap myself, but so get past 50 minutes, so I have bubble wrap, especially this time. Okay, you guys gonna put it in? It smells like really good, like really good. And it became a little strap, a little better thingy. Oh my gosh, okay. Check it out. I guess I should open it and show you first. That is so small and so delicate. You guys know what it is yet? Okay, wait. I'll just open it with you. That smells really good. I'm scared to break it. So, oh my gosh, check it out. It's a MacBook Pro. And I got it from well, obviously a grant, a digital inclusion grant from Connected North. Again, thank you, Jacqueline. And check it out. So this is where I got our digital inclusion grant. MacBook Air. Okay, so with this, they give me like so many different skills and different training stuff. This one's really nice. I love that. Thank you for that. And I don't know, I'm just ready to get started. I don't know how this works actually. Okay, so I was just really excited to show you guys that. I just wanted to make a video out of it. So
Well, I can't stop smiling now. That is.
You just made my day. I should have found that myself. Thank you.
So I first of all glad she did, like, it wasn't a video about her cutting her hand with the scissors. When the scissors came out, I won't lie, I was like. So I want to just point something out to the two of you, to Tessa and Jennifer and Jacqueline. I don't know Jacqueline, but I'm sure she's a real person. There are moments in our lives where we get to be reminded that we are so privileged to do work that helps people understand that they matter in this world. And Connected North, with those grants, we're able to make sure that young women like that was able to know that she was important. Like, that's the job you're doing. Like, what a gift and an opportunity for, yeah, like, and you saw it on her face. Everyone, we saw it, we all just watched it together. Like that is something that is also, I hopefully, a reminder to the two of you how much you matter. Like, this is the role you get to play, right? Is creating these spaces where people know that they're important and their experiences are important, and even the loading of that software, or those pieces that were on there, right? And it's doesn't go unnoticed that when she was looking and with the camera and the mental health one, she said, thank you, like you are helping ensure that when every one of those sessions that Tessa you're doing, those young people know that they belong to something bigger than themselves. Like, and we know in our work, Brennan and I, and at Three Things, the reality is that not just young people, but all of us need to be reminded that we matter, that we're important, and that we belong somewhere. And that's what your programs, I think, are doing. And one of those other programs is this lovely book. So Simonic has read the entire thing now, just so you know. Does look like this. And I'll be frank and honest, because he was looking for stuff we could steal. We were looking for things that we could use potentially in some of our projects and activities.
I hope you found something.
Yeah, he did find some, yeah. And so so this book here, and can people order this online still, or can they buy it?
I'll make sure we can circulate that. Yes. It's created where we gifted a lot, and I'm sure there's a link that it could be ordered. And shout out to Christine Malo and Marika also for for helping to pull those stories together there.
Yes, and they presented, right?
Yes, they did. They did. Yeah.
So this book, this is
Is that the one that Marika signed that I got the photo of right before she got her award?
It is. Oh wait, or is this?
Remember, I took a photo of you getting.
Yeah, I think we gave that to someone else. The signed one, we gave that to someone else, I think.
Okay, no, that's okay.
Oh no, maybe no. Hold on. I'm happy to memory because he said something about the signature. Either way, she signed. Yes, the one of the women who helped craft this and write it, she signed it, and it was very exciting. We had her sign my copy, so this might be Simon's copy. My copy has the signature in it, but at the end of the day, so this book here is a series of activities which were generated, and correct me on anything that I'm wrong, that to go with a series of conversations that Connected North through Future Pathways did during COVID, right?
Yes, correct.
Make sure that young people in the North who you're connected to had opportunities to continue to hear from these amazing speakers and amazing storytellers and inspirers and change makers, correct?
Yeah, you're on it.
Yeah, and it is absolutely fantastic. The quality of this book is superb, and any educator of Indigenous or non-Indigenous, like that's the beauty of it, right? Like and the videos are terrific. I've watched the videos, not all of them, of course, but we'll play them just when we're sort of just trying to do other things, and it's like a podcast kind of, and it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. I am just so thrilled that these tools are out there in the world. So Fireside Chats. I just want to read a comment quickly because Liz, our dear friend Liz, joined us, and she says, "This is the team you need to put together to bring the youth to the second Governor General's Youth Conference." So years ago, with the Students Commission, we hosted a event at Rideau Hall, bringing together young people from across the country who met in Rideau Hall for the better part of a week. There's one of my favorite photographs of all time is the then Governor General Clarkson, the Honorable Clark, what's her first name? Adrian Clarkson, dancing with this like young person, like, and just like literally dancing hard, like hair flying, and so anyways, and so Liz has long been feeling that the current Governor General really should be bringing together young people into Rideau Hall again to have conversations. And so Liz does think that we've been talking, it's in our dream projects thing, but Liz thinks that you're the team that we need to work with to do that, to bring young people together to Rideau Hall and have some of these conversations about why this matters, right? And why them knowing that they matter is important. And so the beauty is that Brennan does very similar work as this in Nova Scotia as well with the foundation, and as do the other foundation staff across the Atlantic Canada, is that creating these opportunities for young people to have the supports that we know they need, that some of us who are a little older didn't have, but that young people today don't have to have the same experiences. When I talk about those late 20s and early 30s, like, here's a fun fact. As Indigenous people, this generation that's growing up now, they don't need to have that part of their path. When I sit with friends my age, we all have those similar shared stories for the most part. And the beauty is that these opportunities, whether it's from the foundation or through the work you're all doing in the different components of Taking It Global and Connected North and Fireside Chats and Future Pathways, young people can actually grow up without having to live this firsthand. And doesn't that seem like, when we talk about equitable, that's a word that gets used all the time, right? That to me is what equity looks like. Not having to have those challenging experiences, like that their peers, their non-Indigenous peers, just don't. Not to say that they don't, all of them don't, but that many of them don't have to experience. So big props, and I raise my hands to Tessa, to you in those classrooms multiple times a day, and creating those paths for those relationships between those artists and the young people and the storytellers and the young people. And Jennifer, lift my hands to you, of course, because I feel like you're going to be one of the grandmothers one day who doesn't understand the word of retirement. I surround myself in grandmothers who just don't, and grandfathers who just don't get it. And I can tell you, my vision of retirement involves a lot of television. And these folks, like our dear friend Maureen, I watch Maureen. She's retired. She was a nurse. She's been, I think, significant force in the resurgence of our language here in this territory, in our community. And she probably works more than she ever worked when she was working. And I'm like, and I say to her regularly, you will not be my role model. But I feel like you're going to be one of those grannies. Who,
I might.
Who
I think you're right. You might have to have me back on the show.
continue
Definitely will.
to create change, right? And the world is a better place because of it. So yes. So have you used, Tessa, have you used this book? Like, is this part of your role or no?
Yeah, so I get to interview people for Fireside Chats, which is really cool. Yeah, so I'll have to have you guys on as guests, which would be awesome. And I think, like, I was just thinking about your point about people not having to experience some things. And like, I think especially with the Fireside Chats that I've done, it like also highlights that like also other like people have been going through similar things and you can have a community within that, and like, and that there's so much support, and there doesn't have to be so much embarrassment about it. Because I think sometimes without telling your story, it can feel really lonely and embarrassing. But like, creating a safe space on Fireside Chats, like so many people have been able to open up that they're like, I haven't felt comfortable to, I didn't know whether I should say this or not. And I'm like, I feel that exact way about these things. And like, we're able to chat about these things, which I just would have never done before without Fireside Chats. And it's been really great to like follow people's journeys and listen to people's stories that like some people might have not told before, and have this platform. And yeah, I just wanted to highlight that as well.
Yeah, and like the Fireside Chats are about people sharing their life path, and also for students, especially. Peter, you had mentioned to me you might want me to talk a bit about like how that started with the Fireside Chats. Do you want me to highlight that a little? Yeah, because as you know, with Connected North, the sessions are live, and then when the lockdown hit, every school was closed, as we know, everywhere, and we have all these people that were scheduled to do sessions for schools, and by canceling it, we were also considering like, yeah, we just wanted to get really creative. And I definitely want to thank the members of our team, because we had some meetings internally. Ashley Richard is one of the people that had the ideas, Magdalena Kelly, Kayla Rateski-Moresti, Wakamon Paywis, Michael Solomon, all Indigenous members of our team, where we were thinking about especially the Indigenous providers that have stories where people, well, the idea is that interviewing people to talk about how they got to where they are today, and for students to also, or for anyone, but initially it was for the students, but we did this as recordings, and then we did this whole thing to get laptops. And so it's kind of surreal actually watching and reflecting on the past few years, and the creativity that has gone into it, and the hopefulness that's gone into it, especially during a time of isolation for more people that didn't always experience isolation, as well as people who do experience forms of isolation. But the idea is people talking about their life path. And one theme I've noticed also is people talk about it being nonlinear, and that's okay. And so it creates a bit less fear and more encouragement. And it kind of also offers that inspiration. And we do ask some questions around how do you support your own mental health. So people are also sharing things that work for them. So instead of just shutting it down after the lockdowns were over, we realized instead of just having these videos on the internet, what if we, because also like in classrooms, textbooks are often, used as a learning resource. So we thought, well, what if we can support other types of learning resources? So that's how the textbook idea came to be. And Christine Malo is a pretty active content provider and Anishinaabe educator. And so she was the one who took the lead in helping to turn some of those like videos into a resource that we distributed to the Connected North partner schools. But I'm hearing you on making sure that, you know, anyone can access it. Yeah, that pretty much summarizes where the Fireside Chats idea came from that moment of despair and focusing on hopefulness and sharing stories of people's lives and how they got to where they are and where they hope to go next, and also to surround one another with that hope and just kind of really make sure that we're nurturing like networks of support. So yeah, we preloaded it on those laptops for the digital inclusion grants, and it does actually wrap up next week. So I'm glad to see that. Thank you to Jacqueline. I'll make sure to share it with her. But 2,000 laptops have been granted to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis students in the past 2 years. Yes.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
And is there an estimate of how much like hours of content is preloaded?
We did. So we preloaded. So we have about 300 interviews, and we preloaded about 100 interviews.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure there was still space on the device, but we preloaded it because, yeah, when people open it up, just to have an easy access and not have to have high-speed internet, because a lot of the people that the laptops were given to don't have high-speed internet, and we weren't able to pay for their internet connectivity. And a lot of people wrote back thanking us for videos that they did watch, especially because the criteria for the laptop grants, the digital inclusion grants, are either high school students or post-secondary students that are on path to graduate. And so once they graduate, they get to keep the laptop. That's the idea. So a lot of people are also saying that like receiving a lot, like I've read the survey responses, that there are people that believe in them to graduate, and just how are you supposed to complete post-secondary without a laptop, right? And a lot of students did not have to have their own, the recipients. So a lot of people also reference being like single moms as an example, and it's difficult with young children to go to a shared like space, like a computer lab. So we just are trying to increase the accessibility, but also we want to at some point in the upcoming months produce some kind of report to draw more attention to this issue, because at the end of the day, we're a really small charity. So there's only so you can do a lot, you know, a small group of people can make a big difference, but also like hopefully there can be more supports in place to look at this issue, different equity and how to close the gaps. Okay, I'll stop there. Thanks.
That is absolutely brilliant. Brennan, I'm just wondering, because I'm thinking to myself about the like you talk about those life stories, right? And how significant all the little steps are. Because Brennan, like, and as you were talking about there was lots of things going through my head, but you're talking about the Connected North and about how it started and why you were wanting to do it. And Brennan, were you? I know I was thinking about the start of Come Walk With Us, and then
it was like exactly how we started. Yeah, the same timing and everything. It was like just it was the beginning of COVID, and just just connecting and staying in touch, and always talking about like doing mental health check-ins with each other, and then just wanting to like talk about that going into COVID, and like and then just continuing that, and here we are. That's super cool. That's what I was thinking of the whole time.
I'm glad you continued it as well. Like it's important that we continue to hold these spaces.
Well, that's what I thought when I was hearing you, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad they're continuing it, and like they have these like legacy pieces built, like, you know, like that book and stuff, and like like you're thinking about the longevity, and that's so cool.
You know, it's interesting, like when everyone was freaking out, because it's natural that we all were kind of wondering what was happening with the whole world, apocalyptic kind of moment feeling, when we were creating our ideas as to how we would move in that moment, what would we do? And one of the like design specs that I said, let's come up with something that's like timely, as in relevant to this moment in time, but also timeless, because you don't know with the media, like there's so much that comes and goes, and we wanted to make something that was both timely and timeless. And I'm really proud of the team putting the effort in that. Oh, Mitch Holmes also, I have to mention him as well. There's more people. I'm not gonna be able to mention everyone, but all the hosts are amazing. But I'm talking about some of the early ones that kind of co-envisioned this idea. And I think that, you know, it can be the fact that these are preloaded now, and then the fact that now it's in textbooks, and then who's going to get the idea of even just one story. Like when I was in at that conference, we had a dinner and there were some of the people there, and we had like a little launch event. I know you were busy that night, Pytor, but we had like a little feast, and yeah, it was so beautiful. And I feel like there's more of those kinds of feasts that we need to keep gathering people to share excellence, because it goes a long way. And yeah, just acknowledge. I actually have to follow. Oh, this was an idea I had that night, and it's just reminding me, every person in that book, Pytor, I want them to gift the book to the high school or post-secondary that they went to. So that's my next step. It's a good reminder. I need to do that, because even for the people that are studying in those spaces, for them to see people that graduated from their school in that book. So you talk about cycles, you know, cycles of poverty or cycles of violence, and there's cycles of hope, virtuous cycles. So that's kind of what gets me motivated, and why I'm still doing things that I do, is just kind of coming from that place of virtuous cycles. How do we imagine that? How do we support that? And Pytor, I was shying away from this tonight, you know that, but thank you for calling me into it.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. And I just want to highlight too, like how Tessa was talking about it earlier in the show, about being a host for these fireside chats, and, you know, like watching how Tessa just talks about it, and like seeing, you know, that light, like just knowing that like that's what you're creating and facilitating, and everybody else that's involved in the project, right? Like from start to finish, like that's just, it's such a beautiful thing.
And we will fight at all odds to not poach Tessa from Taking It Global.
Thank you, Pytor. give her a little more time with us, please.
Yeah, let me finish my degree in a couple of years.
There you go.
Another thing too that I've like really been reflecting about within the fireside chats is like, it's really funny, like when you're younger and you're thinking about role models and inspiration, and you're like celebrities, rock stars, everybody. And then one of the big questions we ask is like, where do you draw inspiration from? For a lot of the people we interview. And it's like always within their community. It's like the women and the youth and the family surrounding them. And I think that's been like a really great thing to reflect about. And going on, you're like on 3 Things Consulting. Yeah, like people are so inspired by everyone around them, and sometimes you don't get to hear about like all these amazing people and what everyone else is doing around you. And Fireside Chats has really been able to include all that, and include everyone's cousins and families and friends and what everyone's working on. So I wanted to highlight that as well.
I think also this idea of representation is important, where we realized we didn't have as many Dene stories, for example. So then Carolyn Manikosh, who's Dene from Degagoti First Nation, you know, she reached out and has conducted many interviews that have recently, you know, emerged. So that's something also that we're constantly considering in terms of the communities that we're working with, and making sure that we are drawing inspiration from those communities, and also showing that there's so many ways to express your talents, to develop your skills. And yeah, definitely that's what you're doing here as well, Facebook Live.
Well, there's always the fun thing about it being live, right? Like it's you just never really know. You just never know where it's gonna go. And we've only done, I think, 3 taped episodes. We've done 2 for holidays, like on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, and then the Marsh family last week or 2 weeks ago, only because of the time change in the UK. So the live piece is really kind of cool. But and Tessa, what you were saying made me think of there were 2 things that made me think, well, 3 things, but pun intended. So Jennifer, you were talking about excellence, right? And it is about that cycle of excellence. So that idea of going back to the schools, it's about reframing it so that people can see us and understand that excellence that's never gone away. It's always been here with us. And so it's helping showcase and highlight that center of that culture of excellence, that intergenerational excellence. Because part of it is that our young people need to see that excellence, right? They need to see Tessa and Brennan. That's what they need to see, right? Little less me, more them. And because if they see it, one of the paths it's going to create is that, like, I look at my little grandson, right? He's 2.5 and he's got beautiful long hair and everyone thinks he's a girl and it doesn't bother his dad too much anymore. And especially at Walmart. At Walmart, they're all about he's a girl. But that said, I want Everett to be resilient as an asset, not as a requirement. I want him to be resilient, not because he has to, but just because, like all of us, he learns how to snap back, right? And that's, I think, the path that we can be walking forward. And when I think about like this show, for example, when we did it, we actually, our first episode was Brennan and Alashwa Hansen, who lives in Nunavut, is back. I think she's living back in Nunavut now, and who is an incredibly proud young woman, change maker extraordinaire. And they were our first guests. And then Brennan was the guest that night. And by the next Saturday, he was the host. So he was the first to, because really we just started it to talk about mental health, right?
Your interview was your interview.
I forgot all about that. That's funny.
Yeah, like he was the guest in the first episode, and it was only going to be one. It wasn't even an episode. It was just a show. Like
It was a special.
It was a special to talk about it because Brendan and I made a video about 3 weeks earlier before he left Kingston about the stress and the anxiety, right, that was happening in the world, and then we followed it up with him in Alashwa, and then away
I
we
got my brother on, I think the week after.
your
My
brother.
baby brother. Yeah.
He was just a baby then, still too,
Yeah.
and almost a man, and but it has just been absolutely brilliant, and part of it is bringing people and telling the stories that are awesome like yours, and I am very grateful that you joined us tonight, especially in a parked car, as like I love the fact that you're a hockey mom, like that's like, I think, just brilliant. But I also want to point out that you still are, and because you're still Jennifer, because I assume the hockey's happening indoors and you're in your club.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing, because we can lose our identity right quick, right, in situations. And so I'm grateful that you're a hockey mom, but I'm also grateful that you're still Jennifer and doing the Jennifer things that you're doing. And Tessa, I cannot wait for the opportunity for us to meet in person, in real life. And it's been my experience, truthfully, over 3 decades of this kind of stuff, that it will happen. And I don't know how, when, where, but it has been my experience it will happen. I'm very excited that you were in the Yukon today. Corey says thank you both for being here. So yes, and Brennan's going to close out with some final thoughts in a second, but if we generally invite people to go around and just close some thoughts, I do have my last thought, which is we should chat further about the storytelling. Like you talked about trying to, like, you do these surveys, but you want to hear something deeper. We should chat about some sort of story piece, because I think there's some cool stuff maybe we could do to help tell the story of the people who are experiencing this, because Canadians need to hear why this matters. Like, we didn't use the word reconciliation once today, but we probably could and should, because the context of Indigenous and non-Indigenous people collaborating and working together, where both parties benefit, that's about reconciliation. That's what that is, really. There's no end point to it, right? It has to be sustained and continued, but those personal actions are anchored in those moments where relationships are formed. When people ask us, and they ask us all the time, what reconciliation could look like for them, at the very core of it, it's, what are your relations? Who are your relations? In Mi'kmaq, it's Misit Nogama, all my relations, right? And that is what matters, right? And so I am very grateful that you are my relations. I'm sorry, Tessa, you're now stuck with us. So Chief Miigwech, big thank you for both of you being here. And Tessa, do you want to share any sort of final thoughts?
Yeah. Okay, that hour went by so quick. Like, where did the time go? Thank you so much for having us on. And yeah, like something I think about a lot when thinking of the word reconciliation too is like the word truth too. Like, I think they have to go hand in hand. And I know some people believe that there's never reconciliation, but but it's so important to involve truth. And that's like half of it too, is just making sure that there's voices for people to tell their truth. So I'm like super stoked to be on here today, and yeah, continue with Fireside Chat and taking it global. And yeah, thank you so much for having us on, and I will pass it to you, Jennifer.
Okay.
Say another word.
Yeah. Like in the context of reconciliation, I feel that part of one of many responsibilities that I have in understanding the impacts of intergenerational trauma, like one of the quests that I've been on is to try to also understand intergenerational healing, and also witnessing. And I don't think I would have been able to, I wouldn't be the person that I am today had it not been for invitations from different community members inviting me to come walk with them, and share some tea or share some bannock. By the way, I made that bannock that you gifted me for Carly, who is on our youth leadership fund team, and she I was waiting for someone to come visit to make this bannock. So I'll have to send you some photos of it. She was like, yeah, it's pretty good. It passes the test. Everyone laughed.
No. WC Creatives, that's their bannock mix. And yeah, awesome. That's a great, yeah, please send pics, because I'll send it on to the two young entrepreneurs who create that, and so many other amazing things. So yeah, please do send those pictures and I'll send them along. Awesome.
Like sharing that space together, like conversations, meals, that's part of it, and receiving like with gratitude. So big thanks for today.
Awesome. And Tessa, you are right. And it's funny, and I like it when other people say it, because we talk about that all the time. It's really truth, right? We actually skipped over, as a country, we skipped over the truth part. Like, we jumped into the reconciliation model, and as a collective country, and the truth piece is where the hurts still lie, and they will always lie, because although we can heal, those hurts are still real, and so the truth will always be challenging, and that's okay, because it's the truth. Like, it's factual. Like, it's not even and I don't even mean the people's individual narratives. I mean just the truth. A plus B equals C, and that's where we're at. And so thank you for sharing that, very much so. And Jennifer, I'm thrilled you had the bannock. That's awesome. WC Creatives, you can find them on Facebook if you want to order more. I just got some yesterday, dropped off right to my house. So and very quickly before Brennan closes us off, Jody Tosh says thank you all for sharing the incredible, inspiring work you're doing. Mary Evans, sometimes I just feel bad if I'm going to mispronounce your name already, and I know it when I say it, but Tintinelli, Mary Evans Tintinelli says, as an educator, I am so impacted by the way you all inspire our youth. Thanks you for sharing. And yes, they do. And so does Brennan Gugu. Brennan's story, just so the two of you know, you should really know that it's deeper than him sailing across the ocean. That was like his fourth amazing feat. Like several more since. So I just want to be clear. You think sailing across the ocean is cool? So is like backpacking across Europe and traveling through Brazil on his own, and yeah, having experiences. And one of the greatest ways he's a role model for our young people is showing them that there is a world beyond the borders of the res, right? Of their community, of their nation, of their neighborhood. that Brennan has boldly gone where many of our relatives haven't, and has inspired others to do the same. And that matters in my books. I believe, I'm a big believer in travel. So Brennan, why don't you bring us around for the night? I'll just say thank you everyone for joining us. And we will see you. We have someone really cool next Saturday and as well. And I don't remember, and I apologize, I don't remember who it might be. I just want to quickly just check here. We've got I know that we do have coming up in April. Oh, I think we have an entrepreneur here, from a local entrepreneur, coming to join us next week to talk about his path to building this really successful business. And then we've got a woman who's coming in a couple of weeks who is off to the Cannes Film Festival to showcase her ribbon skirts in the Indigenous Fashion Week that's taking place at the Cannes Festival. And she's from Winnipeg. And it's Ali's Ribbons, maybe is what it's called, or what's in who she is. And then Simon's been doing a killer job getting guests booked. So I think we're booked up into the into May. And so very exciting. So yeah, hands up to that. And Brennan, share with us some wisdom that we will carry with us for the week.
My mom just commented, the key to Brennan's travel success is to tell your mom the day before. Yeah, I'm a super like just do your thing until the last minute, let people know type thing. I told my mom like the day before I was leaving. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go backpack Brazil for 2 months. She was livid. she was super stressed the whole time. But yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that, Peter.
Before you go there though, I'll just tell you, someone once ended a relationship with me because apparently if you go to Vancouver for a week, if you have dinner with them on a Tuesday, fly to Vancouver, spend a week in Vancouver, talk to them multiple times while you're in Vancouver, return home a week later, have dinner with them that night, casually mention having had sushi in Vancouver, and they're like, you were in Vancouver? They get really upset. And honestly, it was 6 years later, we had lunch. He came back from Europe. He lives in Europe and works at an art gallery. Came back, we had lunch, and he told me how hurt he was by that. And I'm like, really? Like I tried to validate his feelings. I swear to God I did. I was like,
that's hilarious.
Sorry, my behaviors had you feel that way. But it's nuts. But apparently that's not the appropriate answer. But
sorry, I live different.
Yeah, like sense to me. It made no, at least, and I'm like, how is that a problem? Much like you not telling your mom the day before, like it just is. Like yeah.
That's funny.
Go on. Yes,
that's super funny. But I appreciate you bringing that up because like a common theme, if there's anything you take away from this show for me, is that like Jennifer, you said it earlier along the lines of like there's always excellence in your community, and there's always excellence around you. You just have to like look. And that was basically like the only reason I was able to do any of that stuff is because like there was people around me growing up that were super risk takers and super like travelers and super just like break down the walls and go see what's out there type people. So there's a long list of amazing Mi'kmaq people that I could name and lift up, but just I want to lift both of you guys up too, and just thank you so much. Like you guys are that to me, you guys are that excellence, and so and the fact that you guys are helping to put the spotlight on the excellence that is around people, I think is also a super beautiful thing. So just thank you so much for coming here tonight and sharing everything, and thank you, Peter, thank you, Simonic, for putting this together, and just thank you everyone for viewing, and Well, thank you all. And we'll see you later.
Safe travel.
Have a good week.
P, and don't forget how much you matter in this group. You're important, and you certainly belong. And Chimigwich Brennan, as always, my friend, the best way to spend a Saturday, and the best way to either end or start a week, depending on your perspective. The debate that will never end.
Well, and Waltus.